welcome. So I'm really, really curious, first of all, what brought you here today? Because I've done a slightly different announcement on this call, so I'm really curious if you saw that. And we haven't met yet. What got you on the call today?
What got me on the call? So I've been following your work, particularly around some of the work you do around helping people in terms of their public speaking, using their voice, and things like that. And I find that very interesting and fascinating. And truthfully, I've seen these kind of community calls, and I've just never been available to jump on one. And today I had some availability. And if I'm really honest, like 5 minutes before the call, I was like, I'm not really sure what the agenda is. Shall I join? Shall I not join? I don't know. And then I had a look and I'm like, oh, there is no agenda. And I'm like, that's cool. Let's just join and see what happens. So I can't say I have like a specific like, oh, this is what I want to achieve. But I'm like, hey, there's a space to join this. I'm gonna do it and see what happens.
Fantastic. I love it. And when you say you've been following my work, is that on LinkedIn or Facebook or
Mainly on LinkedIn. So I came across you, Evelyn, from kind of like one of the videos I was watching of Richard Levin, I believe. So that's how kind of like I came across you, and then I started following you there. But yeah, so mainly on LinkedIn is the main platform that I'm active on.
Yeah, same actually by now. LinkedIn
Okay,
is where I operate the most because that's where business is happening rather than just
so
talking about our cakes and the feeling we had when we biked it.
yeah, absolutely.
And the trauma evoked when we ate it and all that. So we won't mention the name of the platform that does that. He's doing his homework and Mummy's doing her community call. You've got literally 1 hour to give me space to do my thing. Can you do that? Yes? I think you can. And especially after yesterday, I really am owed some quiet and peace whilst I do my call. What do you think? You can sit and listen, but you mustn't interrupt, okay? Yes? And we'll have a really nice dessert tonight, remember? No, you don't need to be on the phone just because I'm doing work. Yeah, you can do homework, you can do playing, you can be in your swing. She's got a really nice swing. You can
Nice.
play with Frankie. We've got a dog around. Let's play.
Mm.
And if you're tired, you can just chill and hang out here. Yeah? Then chill. No, you leave the phone alone, and that's the end of that discussion. No, darling. Mommy's doing her work now, okay? No. Ah, Momo, you've just had a yogurt. Please go out then and do what you need to do. Have some food. I need to be just 1 hour to take this with me, yeah? I know. Okay, let's do that, Momo. Just 60 minutes. Oh, that was funny. Did you hear that? 1 hour is too long. You have 60 minutes.
Love it.
I love that.
The power of a reframe, right?
Oh, funny. And those who work with me more frequently see I do, I have children and they sometimes do come in. I'm a single mom, and it makes a very somewhere between refreshing and tense conversations and observations, right? So how do you handle them? Like, how do you handle it if your daughter has come in the room 3 days in a row when I've had calls? And what does it
Mm,
say? Maybe it says it's time for a call-free night, which it is. Tomorrow's my
mm.
birthday. There won't be any calls. But yeah, it's one of these things that do happen. Okay, so you've observed me on LinkedIn, which is where I operate quite a lot, and I focus very heavily on the speaking and impact piece. And then I put out some calls now talking about capacity and energy. Did you see those? Did they speak to you?
I have not seen them. I have
Ah,
not seen them yet.
okay,
Yeah,
cool,
I will look out for them.
perfect. Lorna, what about you?
Well, I met you originally in Synergy with Francesca, and I really liked your message and your talk there. So I signed up for your emails. I'm signed up for a lot of people's emails. So sometimes I just delete a lot, but the people that I particularly like, sometimes if I feel it, I just go, oh, what's that about? And basically the last time it was like just clicking it. I don't have any agenda, like you said there, Ali. There was nothing really, and I was just like, oh, I'm available. I'm going to go see Evelyn.
Okay, great, let's do it.
No idea what's happening.
No idea. Okay, great. So because I've run this little experiment thinking, I wonder what happens if we put out the message on, gosh, this observation that I'm really coached out right now. I can't bear the idea of another training program. Everybody's just trying to tell me how to improve myself and my skills, and I'm actually ready to vomit somewhere. If there was a bucket around, I would. Can you just give me some space? Actually, I'm just tired. Actually, I just need a break. Actually, if everybody could just royally leave me alone for a good long while and can success come in instead, that would be preferable. Or if anything, can we just meet in person and have a chat? And can you stop looking at me with these intentional eyes kind of vibe? And I had quite a lot of resonance. And so I was curious whether the community and my community would like to talk a bit more about what it takes to actually even have the energy to make changes for yourself, and what it takes to build the capacity to be this impactful person in the world, whatever that means to you. So that's the question I'm coming in with today. I am very flexible on what we can talk and work on. So for me, every person is a blank canvas, and let's do some art. So let me check in with you. How does that topic resonate for you?
I think for me, that really resonates. I'm going through the reason why it is I'm going into this really intense period where like October and November, I know is going to be a lot. And if you had told me like 3 years ago, hey, this is what your October and November is going to be like, I'm going to, I would have thought like, man, I'm leading my best life in terms of impact. And yeah, going into it, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get through the next 2 months. So that feels like an interesting conversation to have around capacity and energy and all of those things.
Okay, so that would be a suitable topic.
Yeah.
Marvelous. Lorna, what about you?
So this year has been really intense, and I had a book out in 2020, which I've had a journey with, basically, and I've sort of tried to relaunch it in the Scottish Highlands. I am in the Scottish Highlands. So I discovered that because of the title of my book as well, the denial is so deep up here that I need the Americas. It's like I need to make an impact somewhere else that they're open to this topics, rather than here where everybody appears to be shut down. And
What is
the book is living in 3D, drink, drugs, and denial. So in that process, my family rejected me for having the book out. Blah blah blah. And then I've sort of relaunched it just recently, so to be able to talk about it. I'm part of a Gene Keys guide community as well. I don't know if you know the Gene Keys. So I've been pulled out very slowly with my boots into this global arena, which this year. So I've been posting on online stuff where I'm getting to be seen, and very gentle. The divine's been very gentle with me, pulling me out slowly, because there's a fear in there of speaking about the depth of these addictions and how it affects families and rips them apart. And that it's all very well talking about the fun times, but there's a deep, seedy, dark side as well. And I've experienced both sides of that. And how do I talk about that publicly? How do I, go out there? Because I've already been shot down and being shouted at and called names around before talking about. So then I tend to run and scuttle away and hide away for a little while, and now it's like, what's that expression? I'm too long in the tooth for this. I need to start talking and helping people, because somebody got in touch and said that my book stopped them from committing suicide. So locally, I'm with a charity who are refusing to help to promote my book. This is so ironic, and this is just another reason. They're like, your contact subjects is just a bit vulnerable and raw, and your book's great, but we can't be seen to promote that. I'm like, but you're about prevention of suicide. I don't understand it. So I've just decided I'm not going local anymore. I'm going to try and go global. And
I like that. Okay, you're taking the phrase "go big or go home." pure to heart. It's like go big or go home. Well, I'm home, so it's big.
Yeah,
I love that. So
thank you.
there's an interesting other side of the coin to impact work and speaking out and not hiding anymore. And everybody loves the part of it, not hiding anymore. And yes, I'm going to go up and I'm going to go global and I'm going to speak my truth. Yay. And the other side, the shadow side of that is that I'm actually really exhausted.
Mm.
I'm actually really tired. I've just been criticized 5 times in a row. I just can't can't face it. So we're running into a capacity and energy issue really quickly. And actually, I've noticed that with leaders that I work with, they come to me for more impact, but what's underneath? It's not just that you're scared of speaking on a stage. There's a capacity issue and an energetic issue underneath because we run out of steam, don't we? And then even when we become successful and we've got lots of things to do, then the question becomes, oh shit, how am I going to get through those next months? So it's fascinating to me. I'm like, oh, look, this capacity stuff, it's everywhere. My feeling is that this year has been quite an intense year for lots of people. I get this really, I very rarely, I haven't heard anyone say 2024 was easy. It's interesting, right? So let's dive into what that means. Having energy is great, right? It's no problem, but how do we keep running out of gas? And what do we need to put gas in the tank? And is our tank actually holding the gas? That's probably the most interesting question, right? Because we all know how to do self-care. You go to bed earlier and you have a glass of water at your side that occasionally you sip, but that's not cutting it. So then the question becomes, how is the tank? Is the tank leaky? Do we have energy leaks somewhere? Like what's going on? So let's dive in. Let's play a little bit. Ali, tell me, it sounds like you have a lot of it's work engagements the next 2 months, or are you involved in training? So what's happening?
Yeah, so work, and I do some non-profit work as well, so kind of like a mix of the both. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
So professional work and volunteer work, let's put it that way. Yeah. Yeah.
And what do you think can get in what impacts your energy?
What impacts what like gives energy or drains energy?
Actually, let's go both.
Yeah, let's go both. Good. What gives it energy is I love facilitating workshops. I love being being in a position where I'm having an impact on people. And actually both that gives a lot of energy and then really drains me afterwards, actually.
Isn't that great? Great catch. That wow, I love doing this. Gives me so much energy.
Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
How can one thing do both? We never talk about that. So is it either draining or it's energizing? What now? And it's both.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the main thing. The other stuff, what's the other stuff that gives it? Yeah, actually, probably kids is both as well, right? So like, I feel like we're in a really great routine with our kids right now. I get to spend a bunch of time with them, which is fun and energizing and also draining too. And quite truthfully, like Evelyn, like this time of the year where the temperature is getting a bit cooler, nothing gives me more energy than sitting at home in my hoodie and just yeah, absolutely, I love it. I love it.
That's good to know, right? Same. I think so. Sitting at home in a hoodie is really restful, and when we say energizing, it's probably more restorative than not a coffee boost. It's the stuff that builds you up slowly from the inside. Those quiet times. Crackling fire, watching the leaves fall,
Yeah.
having a warm drink in your hand. Those are beautifully restorative acts. And then the question would be, how much do we even do that? And how often do we do them without guilt? How often do we allow ourselves to just sit there and do absolutely nothing and just look at the trees without thinking, shit, I really should be doing stuff. Like I have a lot to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the thing with that for me is like the balance of what I found is that I've spent most of my recent years thinking about how can I be more productive and get more done and do all of the things. Um, and then it's like, oh, but am I like I'm wasting time if I'm not doing that. And I get it. Theoretically, I get it. Like it's not a waste. We need it and all of the things. But I don't think I've internalized that yet.
That's a really good awareness. Lorna, are you resonating with that as well? Can you relate?
Yes, and well, where I am, I do a lot of tree watching, and then I feel guilty because I feel I'm being lazy.
Yeah.
So I've got sort of the opposite there, and I don't have kids at home anymore, but I get adult kids asking me to that because they think I don't do anything to have grandkids. I mean, it's boundaries and it's where do I get a balance, discern am I coming online and what am I doing, and then then the money takes it and I don't have regular income and I get all caught up in
that
that.
spiral. I'm really familiar with that one as well. So I think there's a real productivity is a trap. The idea of productivity is a trap because we've been sold the idea that the more we do, the better it is. And then it's not don't work harder, work smarter, but it's still with the goal of do more. More is better. That's still the paradigm most of us live in. Then we learn like, oh, okay, it's not about how much we do, it's the quality. It's the quality. And we're like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go for more quality. But it's all still based in a quite exploitative mindset model of here is me with all my talent and I need to use it. I need to extract my energy to produce, to be of use, to produce value. And it's my output that measures and defines my value. And that makes us what we call driven, which we also see as a positive thing, right? This person is really driven. But I'm speaking it facetiously on purpose to make us see it's like, does that even make sense? To be driven, like we're not cars, we're not machines, and here we are acting as them.
What do you mean by sorry?
Yeah.
I was gonna the one word that you used which really stood out, you said an exploitative model. Like what is like I'm curious to know about that.
Yeah, sure. So the idea is in the Western world is to take the resources we have and use them as much as we can. And so that's the model of exploitation. We take as much as we can from what we have and use it in the most, you tell me, efficient, effective, profit maximizing something way that we can. We believe that more is more, and the more I have, the more I have. And so, we do it to the earth. We exploit the earth's resources, and we do it to ourselves. We exploit our own resources, our energy, our intelligence, our workforce. I'm going to hire your workforce. And we use it to the most, to the maximum. We max out on everything because we're trained to think that that's a good thing. And even as I speak it, there's a part of me going, yeah, but it is a good thing, Evelyn, isn't it? But it is a good thing. Indoctrinated into our thinking that the more you take from what you have or what you can get, the better it is. And I'm going to throw in an idea that might not be true. And I get to this idea from what I'm seeing, what it creates. The idea, if I take lots from the earth ain't so happy. And it actually disturbs the balance, and we see the consequences of that. I'm a bit of a human person, a social person, and I deal with personal development. If I use myself and really go for it and give everything, the question is what's left of me. And there is and there's different ways of looking at this, but because it's beautiful to give all of yourself, but just look at how many people are burning out, how many people having stress related or caused by stress diseases, and compared to how many people live in a beautiful, healthy balance with themselves and life and nature. You see, so my observation, and feel free to give me your opinion and your observations, and my observation is that we are using this exploitative mindset and applying it very beautifully on ourselves without even thinking about it. And I'm saying it's time to think about it and to shift paradigm.
Mm. And as you say that, Evelyn, I think about like I hear it when it's like, hey, this is how I'm treating my team or corporations treating people. If I think about treating myself and saying, hey, I want to use all of my talents, all of the blessings that I have, all of the good stuff, um, what's the alternative? Honestly, is where I'm going, which seems like a really place of ignorance, but I'm like, oh, there's a different
No,
way of thinking about this.
yeah, and let's explore it. It's not necessarily that I'm sitting here with all the answers. I'm really happy to pose a question and steer us in a direction to open up something fresh that can come in.
Mm,
So if we agree that this way of thinking might not be everything, then hang on a minute. Where do I need to look? So I would look into. I'm interested in well-being and balance and harmony and energy. Now you can go, well, why, Evelyn? Why are you so interested in energy? Well, because I like to feel good.
mm,
And I like to get things done. Here we go again. So something about doing things in the world that I really love. I love creating an impact. I like getting things done. I even like getting a lot of things done. So I'm not going to stand here and say, oh, everybody get less done. That's the solution. It can't be. It would be like castrating myself. I'm very creative and I have a high output. The idea is not to not do what you love, but the drive behind it, this obsession with having to do more, or else I don't feel good about myself. That can't be it.
mm,
That can't be it.
mm.
That when every time I sit down and don't do something for 2 days, I feel like the laziest person in the universe, and I think, oh, my business is going to fall apart, and no wonder you're not where you think you should be. I mean, look at you, you're sitting on your bed in the middle of the day. You know, and that judgment comes out. Oh, look at you, you're wearing a hoodie. You think you can charge 6 figures, but you're wearing a hoodie. People that
Mm,
charge 6 figures don't wear hoodies. Like, you better, suit up a bit. What do you think the successful people look like, smell like? We're like, well, you haven't been in the gym for 2 days. Like, come on. So that judgmental piece is very, very keen to run the show. So
mm,
questioning that, I'm like, what is that? Because that's not healthy. That is driven, but driven by what? Ambition. Yeah, okay. For what? To do more, to be more, to have more.
Why?
So you see, that's where I'm getting to. Like, is that even true for us? Is that a good way to think about things? And we're like, it can't be right. Right in the sense, not in right and wrong, but as in the best way to go about things, to really fully
mm,
enjoy life. So my trajectory is freedom. My trajectory is freedom, and that's a beautiful word that means a lot of things to a lot of people, but it also is a sense. Freedom is a felt sense that I can breathe and I'm alive and I am a choice and I'm present and I'm here. And when I have that, okay, it's just good. I don't question all this stuff.
mm,
This is really interesting to me that when we're really happy, we don't tend to ask all the questions that we ask ourselves that when we're not.
mm.
Mhm.
What does it mean to be happy? What is the meaning of life? What's this? You never ask yourself these things after a mind-blowing orgasm. You just lie there and you just think, yeah, and breathe, right? That's it. So that to me is the idea of this freedom, of this space of yes, we're here, we're alive. And it doesn't have to be orgasmic is quite a climatic idea of high level intensity pleasure. The space after, the ease is a probably more sustainable orientation. Because you can't be in orgasm all of the time. That's quite also energizing and draining. But we can be in more peace more of the time. I'm completely convinced and sold on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It can be
Okay.
in peace more of the time. My thing is that I get very distracted easily, and I can sit down to do something with a intention, say, and something else takes my fancy, and I'm off on that. And I'm in so many groups in Facebook that I get comfortable there and I don't come out of there. It becomes a comfort zone. And I've been so busy spending money on coaches and developing constantly that became an addiction for me. And to the point that nearly lost my home, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like money comes when I need it, but it's never consistent. It's never regular because I'm not being regular and I'm not doing, and I do a lot of sitting about. I'm relying on my partner, which I don't like doing either, and he works away. So when he's away, I'm lazy. I get lazy and I go distracting down all these rabbit holes and hanging out with other people. And I've got shitloads of paperwork and stuff that could be programmed into courses and stuff. And I'm like, I don't feel that's the way forward anymore. I don't know how do I want to help people? And because I'm in the world of gene keys and that community, I'm immersed in there, that I forget what other things are going on in the world a lot of the time. So it's between gene keys and family. That's my two places that I'm involved in, and trying to, you said something there about the mind and exploitation of the mind, and it's trying to redefine work and money for me in the present state. It's work doesn't mean money, it's like, but that's what my mind says. Well, yes, it is. It's and you've got to work really hard to get.
Yeah, yeah. So work doesn't necessarily mean money, and money doesn't necessarily mean work. How about that one?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my question for you, Lorna, having listened to you, is what could be underneath that? So there's family, and then there's work, and there's between gene keys and the family, and there's the restlessness and a doing and a not doing. What's underneath there? Where's Lorna? Where's
she feels, sometimes I just feel like I'm lost in all of them around me. It's like I've been absorbed into that world, trying to individuate, if you like, or this is where I'm at. I'm trying to discover who I am in amongst all these other voices. Yeah, and it feels like I'm on that, like you said, that trajectory of freedom. That's mine also. A lot of the time I can feel an inner freedom, or but I've got to watch this slippery character, because sometimes, like for instance today, we were out in the car and my car went alert that I was going to bang into something in front of me. And my partner, oh for fuck's sake, because I was driving, and I was like, what's your problem? He said, why are you so calm? I don't know. I just feel really serene right now. I feel really calm on the inside. That to me is freedom, because I'm not getting all worked up about something out there. And that's fine in that part, but it's this work part, that work money, to be able to have that other freedom to go where I want, whenever I want, with whomever I want, and keep making an impact and having enough money to keep that ball rolling. So I don't know who I am underneath that a lot of the time. I have to just keep readjusting myself, sometimes on a daily basis too.
That sounds tiring to me.
Yeah, and it can be very, very exhausting. And then I just take to my bed and I'm very early. But then I have got a lot of energy, so I bounce back really quick. I can bounce back really quick. And then I go again, and then it's like. And sometimes I feel that's okay. It's okay, but as long as I'm productive or proactive. But
how do you even know that you are productive?
Well, this is it, because I think the money has to be there to show me that I have been that way.
So the money is the productivity meter for you.
Yes. Yes. And it shouldn't be.
I was going to say, do you think money is a reliable productivity meter for you?
No, it's not reliable. It's never been, because I'm usually running to somebody else's agenda about that.
Mm.
I've discovered that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I'm looking at it just now, what does it mean for me personally? Well, it doesn't matter about anybody else.
Would you mind if I made something really simple for you?
No, not at all.
Okay. We're talking about capacity and the underlying magic that sustains us doing this amazing work in the world. I call it creating an impact. You might call it making money, whatever you want to call it. This amazing thing that we want to do. Underneath that, we need a certain energy to be able to do that. We've said, okay, we want the trajectory of freedom. And that means that we're a choice rather than being driven and obsessed by something in order to have something so we can be something. We are actually wanting to have this feeling of choice, freedom, and ease. And we can see that that would be a much more sustainable way of being, of living, than this frantic productivity trap. You've then mentioned a lot of wonderful things, and you've given us some really intense concepts, from self-help addiction all the way to the idea of laziness when you actually follow your body. And I want to help you see something really, really clearly. And that is, when your mind is in charge, it can get really confusing really quickly. And that's a problem with people that have intelligence, because they love having their mind in charge because they think they can. And then they run into all these problems that the mind creates and generates, and then try to figure them out and run like really. Ali, wasn't it interesting to watch her talk? How even her body language went really frantic. I was thinking of the Duracell bunny. She's like,
I've been called up many times. Yeah.
And then eventually she kind of takes a break and she goes, oh, and she goes, but I bounce back. And then there you go again.
Yeah.
And that's why I love to question, but are we productive in this place? Is that real productivity? Is that really Lorna being at her best? Are we getting the full experience of Lorna? Is Lorna getting the full experience of Lorna? With this way of being, when you get to the end of your days and you lie there and you get to say your final goodbyes, do you look back and go, I've been so Lorna, nobody could have done that better. This was like A+ at being Lorna and living Lorna's life. Or are we still sitting there going like, damn it, I should have done this, I should have done So that to me gives me an indicator of what's going on when I see it. And I look at bodies and body language, and I listen to the voice and what's going in there. So my suggestion, to make it really simple, is to observe. Is somebody really in their mind? Are they spinning in their mind? Or are they rooted in their body? What I'm observing is that when people are really rooted, grounded, embodied, connected to their body, and then through their breath, connect their beautiful minds to their body, there's a way in which we become very clear and very simple about things. That doesn't require a lot of doing shit, because it's that thing. Let me stop here and just check back in with you. How is that landing with you? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm just thinking the stupidity of being clever.
Yes, great title. Yeah, the stupidity of being clever. Yeah. And that reminds me of in acting school, there was a teacher. One second, I have to. Yes, I'll give you paper. I have to provide paper. Paper to the boss. Coming. What are you going to? Paper. Yeah.
We're making letters to and we're sending it to France.
Oh yes, I know you're doing that. That's amazing. Writing letters in French. Okay, well, we will interrupt this intermission for paper transmission. I now lost my thread. Where were we?
Stupidity of being clever.
That's it. There's a lot of that going on. Oh yeah, in acting school, where my teacher said, "Oh, Evelyn, you think too much. Stop thinking so much." Yeah, that's the most unhelpful advice I've received. How do you stop that? So now I'm already on stage, really self-conscious that I've been told that I think too much, so I need to think less. Right, how do I do that? I'm going to look intentionally at my glass, and I'm intentionally looking over there, and then I'm really going to be present in this scene because I am not thinking so much. I'm now thinking less. I think too much. I must. And it just made it all so much worse. And then a colleague, fellow student, said to me, she's like, "Yeah, Evelyn, you know what? We're just too intelligent for acting." And I looked at her and I thought, nah, I'm not buying that. Because if we were that clever, we would figure out how to do it. So it's that thing, like intelligence thinks, oh, it can put itself above everything else when actually it doesn't get it done. She wants pens from me. I'm not pen resource center here. That's her. She's her room. Anyway. So you see, it's really fascinating. But how can this help you? That's my question for you, Lorna.
I mean, you're not saying anything really that I haven't discovered about myself. I'm very heady, and even though I walk 6 miles every morning to try, to get grounded, to try and ground, and I've got all these various tools from my toolbox that I use to pull myself back into body, but yet I wonder if sometimes I get severe claustrophobia, right? So I wonder if I'm claustrophobic by going into my body.
Well, that's a sweet thought. I love that. I mean, any excuse will do not to go there.
Yeah.
Because it's this. I mean, to me, that's a really very clever mental model to keep you from doing the thing that you want to do. Because quite frankly, nobody said that you should confine yourself to a small space, which is what claustrophobia is, the fear of confinement in small spaces. What the suggestion is connect to your being and don't trust your thinking quite so much.
Mm-hmm.
In Alcoholics Anonymous, which I got to attend once because I started my whole personal development journey with Al-Anon. That's for
so did I.
And so did you, okay. And so when I went to an AA meeting, because they said we should, and I was a bit scared, but I went and was so fascinated about the people I met. They were intelligent, successful, wow. And this doctor said to me, which is an AA saying, our best thinking got us here. And I really that struck a chord. Our best thinking got us here. So our thinking is not that reliable when it comes to giving us the guidance about should I be in my body or not. I think I'm just claustrophobic going in my body. Yeah.
Yeah, it's constantly pulling this bullshit out of the bag. Yeah.
And see, from my point of view, if you wanted like a way forward, I can see that in self-help world, it's like, okay, so don't so much focus on your mind and really like focus on your body.
Yeah.
That sounds great, but as you know, like you already walk 6 miles. That's not it either. So my suggestion would be, what would happen if you didn't fight it? What would happen if you started having fun with it all? I think humor is a wonderful way to bring in that healthy distance. And like, oh, look at me go. Look at me go. Am I doing the Duracell again? How cute am I? I mean, you have great expressions and great jokes that you can make about this. At the end of the day, it will be a choice by choice thing. If you make the choice to take a breath right now, then you're the person who took a breath right now. You were calm in the car when there was an accident. So I know for a fact that you are very able to be connected to your body because you weren't in your head about it. You were just like, no, do you know what? I feel calm, serene. You were connected to a deeper place inside you. It's possible. So it's a choice thing. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to breathe myself into that space right now. And there'll be other times where that just isn't working. And you go like, I've been breathing for 5 minutes. Then just do something else and laugh about it, because you're headstrong. Okay, let's see how we can make a fun day being headstrong. So to bring some lightness into the mix would be my idea to play with. And see where that takes us. The question I asked you earlier on was, where's your soul? Because this idea of individuating can also run you into a lot of trouble. Trying to be different and your own thing in amidst people who are really all connected. We're all connected, and on some level, we're even all the same. We're all made of energy. And then I spend my life trying to be not you. That's like, again, that's a bit hard work. And so you smile, Ali, is like, is that really the best use of my time? Trying to be not you. Or is there a way where I can have fun with wherever we are right now? And then they call that, oh, Evelyn, you're like this. Oh, Ali, you're always like, I love when you're like that. And you're like, yeah, me too. I don't know that I can do it on purpose, but it just comes when I let go, essentially.
Letting go was coming up a lot there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Letting go.
And I get to trust it's all right. What if it's okay to be in my head a lot? The craziest people I've seen on the yoga mat. It's fascinating. They're all serene on the mat. They leave the mat. They have huge, not everyone, but I've seen people with huge psychological problems being very great yoga teachers. And when I first saw it, I was shocked because I thought that yoga sorts you out. And then I learned for this person especially, she's like, I need the mat because it's my place of serenity. It's where I find serenity. Unfortunately, it's not the cure for her life because she's running with a brain that was running on whatever, 250 miles an hour versus your general 100 miles an hour. She was 250 an hour, and it was very difficult for her to contain that over the day. But she knew when she got on the mat, she could do her sun salutations and be present in those 20 minutes or that hour. So I stopped judging that. I stopped judging that from that. When I go, oh, it's that way around. It's not for everyone that the yoga goes into everything and then everything is yoga. You got it. For some people, it's the other way around. They need to have their spaces, and then they need to somehow learn to be with how they are and how their mind is running. And I would love for this woman to be able to slow down and find a deeper peace. But I don't know if that's going to happen for her or not. But I'm going to stop judging that. She's a great yoga teacher. Right. And how I lived on top of a meditation center, a spiritual center for a while in Kensington. And how many people did I see running to meditation class? It was hilarious. They're like, I'm too late for my meditation. It's like, that's the joke. And then, quite frankly, how often have I done it? Often. Because to relax, I have to get a lot done before I'm allowed to do that. So I'm then on last minute, and then I have to rush. So the idea here is let's bring some humor and some humanity in. Humor and humanity. Oh, that's a nice.
I like that.
Because I was asking about your reason. The soul, the idea of this soul sits deeper than personality. Soul is this eternal energy. When I'm connected to this soul essence, this deep, the heart, what we're made of, that's where my resourcefulness comes from. That's where this life force comes from. And when that flows through us, we are what we call energized. Right? Then we can do anything. And I have so many stories. I don't know how many. I don't think I share that many on LinkedIn, on and off. But I have a child with a quite big medical condition, and so sometimes I am being driven to the edge of my capacity, or beyond, actually, way beyond the edge of my capacity and exhaustion. I've had nights where I was so tired, and I've got like, right, but this night this is my resting night. Now I'm going to recover. It's going to be fine. And that's when the alarms go off in the middle of the night, and I have to go to hospital at 2 a.m. And I'm like, I literally can't even drive. I'm too tired. And I would say to people, I can't drive into hospital. Somebody has to do it. It's not possible. But there's no one there. And I would have to find some space in myself. And I've observed it quite a few times now that even when you have nothing left, an energy comes through you that makes it possible for you to do that stuff. Fascinating.
Mm.
Fascinating. So we have energy available that we don't even know of. However, relying on that is really not a good idea. Very unhealthy. So I deal a lot with energy and capacity and restoration and looking at how can I actually even function, because my personal life is quite intense at times. And I know how to bounce back, but just bouncing back is not good enough for me, because I don't want to be someone who constantly has to bounce back and catch up with herself. That's not the life I want to live.
Mm.
So this is a deeply personal topic for me. So like, how are we doing this? And so again, on this level of soul, of existence, of eternal existence, there is an ease that I'd love to point to, so that we can just remember that. Oh yeah, there's already an ease there. I don't actually have to do that much. My only job in this body was to show up and be me, really.
Mm.
And when I come in with that, there's an ease that dropping in that can happen, that makes it much easier to turn up and be very, very impactful versus the person that's trying to prove themselves. So I want to shift my attention to you, Ali, and the upcoming 2 months. What are you taking so far from this conversation?
I think two things: the lightness of, reframing like the next upcoming months. It's just an element of like, part of it is because I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform when I'm running these workshops. And I think that's probably part of the draining element as well. Like, I don't enjoy the before and after process, because I enjoy the in the process, but it's like, no, what if I enjoy the before process as well? And it doesn't have to be like so intense. It can be, like how you said, lighter. So finding ways to be lighter. And yeah, I'm guilty of the thinking a lot. It's not uncommon for me to have only had 3 to 4 hours sleep at night because I've just been lying there thinking about stuff, right? And I'm not always like when I'm stressed or negative, just literally thinking, you know? Um, so I think they're the two things that I'm really that's given me new kind of ways to think, two ways to think about stuff. That's not even correct, is it? But you know what I mean?
I'm not dissing thinking. I think thinking is
Yeah.
beautiful. But there's
Mm.
different ways of thinking, different qualities of thinking, right? There's the worried thinking where you go in round, round, round loops. It's very different from the lying back in a relaxed state, letting thoughts flow kind of thinking.
Yeah, and my one is the first one. So one thing that I wrote down is that my thinking is not always reliable. And I'm like, oh, actually, yeah. Right. So it's the first one really that I get caught up in terms of, yeah, this low quality thinking for sure.
How do you know that you're in low quality thinking?
I'm typically catastrophizing about what's going to happen in the
Mm.
future. Um, so that's what really, and then that's really energy draining. So I guess either two things that happen. Either I'm like stressed about what's going to happen in the future, or stressed or just kind of like going to, I guess, places in the past and just being like, man, why did you do that? Even though that it may be irrelevant now, or just reliving kind of like these moments, you know?
What does that do for you or to you?
It's exhausting, actually. It's really, really like tiring. It does suck a lot of energy. And I don't feel great. It makes me feel really negative.
But when you feel really bad, what do you do then?
What do I do? I get stuff
You get stuff done when you feel bad.
done.
Do you?
Well, what do I do? Is that like from a physical or a kind of thinking perspective or
No, like what's the consequence of you feeling bad?
I feel drained. I don't it typically means I'm not as good of a person to my family,
Mm.
generally.
But do you have is it justified because you didn't feel good? does that mean you get to be a shitty person, but it's okay because you didn't feel good in the first place?
Yeah. I mean, it's not good. Like,
I
it's
get it.
not. But yeah,
I
yeah,
do that. I definitely do that.
yeah,
I was angry,
yeah.
but I was really tired, and that's why I got angry. And I
Mm,
understand the logic, but that doesn't take away that I put myself. That wasn't the day I wanted to create, really. So there's something about how when I keep
mm,
myself in a little bit
mm.
under optimal or suboptimal, let's just face it, it does give me an excuse to be just not to really have to live up to myself.
Mm.
Because again, the idea that I have to live up to myself is exhausting because I can't keep up with myself because my expectations are always so freaking high.
And I think that's the one, like the start of the conversation of like when we said, hey, like, for me, it's around, I want to make sure I use like all of these things that I have, the blessings, the talents. I don't want to, one thing like I kind of shared with somebody the other day was like, I'm really scared of dying and not having kind of used all of my talents. That's the thing that like
Yeah.
really like honestly like keeps me up
Yeah.
at night. And
Yeah.
then when I look at kind of like my journey so far, it's like, oh, I'm stepping into like using my talents and stuff. And I feel bad that it's taken me this long to actually get here, and all of those things. But that's what I'm thinking about, the not reliable thinking. Maybe that's a flawed.
There's a couple of really fun things in there. Are you religious?
Yeah,
Which religion are you subscribed?
Muslim.
Muslim. Okay, I
Yeah.
don't know the Muslim faith very, very well, but I'm going to try to have a conversation between God and you. Okay.
Mm.
So, because I find the contract very interesting, the idea that, okay, so God has given you all these, or Allah has given you all these gifts and this
Yeah.
potential, but it comes a little bit of a tenure. No, I want to give you all these gifts, but you have to use them, all of them.
Mm.
Don't disappoint.
Mhm.
Do you think of your God like that? It comes with a condition.
Yeah, I'm not sure if conditional is the way I would phrase it, but I would say it's like for me, and I don't speak on the whole faith here, but for me, it's like there's a reason why he's put me here, right? In this moment in time with this energy and these things, and it's like don't waste your life, boy, right? Don't waste it. You're here for a reason.
Yeah, and it, it's a motivating thought, but it
Yeah.
also puts you under pressure, right? So let's have a look at both of them. So the idea, if a God, it gives us gifts that we then have to use them. I really feel that I've felt that in my body a lot, and I remember having these conversations with a therapist going, the problem is I can't not if I waste my potential, that's I can't be wasting my potential. I've been really intense about it. And she just looked at me like, mm-hmm. And it drove me bananas. Like, don't you understand? I'm insanely talented. And that means, but what I saw in her eyes was this, interesting. So because you have all these talents, you now have to fulfill on every one of them. My God, you're doomed. And I thought, shit, so it's a curse. And there is a book even called The Curse of Talent. I don't know if it talks exactly about that thing, but even just the phrase really made me take a breath. Let's talk about God as a loving father for a minute. As the idea of a loving father. You were a father. If you give your child a bunch of gifts, do you expect the child to use all these gifts to the max, or else they wasted them?
No, I appreciate that they won't use them to the max,
They
I
probably
guess.
won't. And I'm just thinking, yeah, actually, I would expect that of him. Oh gosh,
That's what I'm like. Does that make me a really bad dad? Although sometimes I've bought them gifts and they've been more appreciative of like the box that it's come in than the actual gift itself.
if we're mature enough, we know that that's what happens with kids. And I do
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, why I bought you this thing? Okay, that's
Mm.
one I have to think about that one. But the idea is, if I saw my kids struggling because they can't use all the gifts I've given them, do I say, well, I should have never given you these gifts? Or do I go, come here, it's all right. I just gave them for you to have fun with and to have options, not to make you stressed. Like, which one is it going to be?
Yeah, the second one.
The second, okay, I'm glad we
Yeah.
agreed. So I just gave you those gifts to have options, not to make you stressed. That is what a mature, loving version of something
Mm.
would say.
Yeah.
So with that idea, your job is no obligation is not to make the best use of all your gifts to please
Mm.
and fulfill your potential, but actually it's literally a generosity from the divine so that you have options and you have more ease in your life.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I can see a version of God in however we imagine it, just going, geez, guys, honestly, just chill. This was meant to be fun. This was meant to be
Mm.
fun, guys.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. The options and ease is a great way of thinking about it, actually. It feels better to think about it that way.
Yes.
The pressure.
Then the pressure. So the idea is like I gave you these reasons, like these gifts. There's a reason you have those gifts. Now go and do something with them. It's quite is a bit of a forceful way of thinking.
Mm.
You can see it.
Mm. Yeah.
There is an idea that we make meaning out of things. Somebody said humans are meaning-making machines. There's also on the divine plane of thinking that things happen for a reason. There are divine contexts that come, and there's contracts, soul contracts that we have to fulfill with people, or there's God has placed me here, like the prophets, and there's things that come through. I think that's all beautiful, but it can also coexist with more of an ease. We don't have to
Mm.
go up at everything in full intensity.
Mm.
I haven't seen that work very well over time, to be fair, when we do.
Yeah.
Unless we're on a mission. And so when you have a mission, like when you give a presentation, for that moment, in that moment, you might want to go in intensity mode. What the heck is now going on? This is fun. I have a phone that doesn't work, but it's now doing a lot of sounds. Like Anyway, I think these things can coexist beautifully. And I think we're okay taking the pressure out. I think it works better for us.
Yeah.
In the presentation mode, just when you give the presentation, you're completely allowed to go into intensity and be on that mission and get everyone excited. But do know that that's not a sustainable mode. Just like sprinting isn't. Just like being in the Olympics isn't. These are highlight moments. Sometimes we go into highlight moment mode. I'm a trained performer. I know all about intense modes. I go on stage. I can, you've probably seen this. I was Europe's #1 Madonna impersonator. I know how to be intense for a short burst of time, but I will not try to do that 24/7. That's just nuts.
Mm.
So I'm not saying don't use your gifts ever. I'm not saying don't be intense. Totally. Use your gifts, be intense, be in your head, do all those things. But understanding that actually we have the permission to relax and be okay with, not using everything or even not doing the best that we could do is
Yeah.
actually okay.
Yeah, and I think so I still want to hold on to this notion of no, I want to use it all and I don't want to go back to having kind of left anything on the table. And I hear kind of everything that you're saying, Evelyn, and what it makes me think about is that, particularly with this presentation example that you just gave, it's that, hey, it's playing the long game, right? In order to, if I kind of I'm in this really kind of intense mode, it works for, like you said, short bursts of time, but you can't lead your whole life like that, right? You don't do yourself justice. You don't even do your mission justice, to be fair. But if you appreciate that this is a long game, and in the long game, there's certain elements of intensity and there's certain elements of downtime. I think for me and my narrative and my worldview, um, that that kind of fits and allows me to bring that kind of ease into it as well.
I love that because why would you leave anything on the table if you don't want to?
Yeah.
Again, we were looking for freedom. And the freedom for me is that I've tried everything from the buffet because that's what I'm about. And then great, take a bit of everything from the buffet, but don't take everything of the buffet. Don't eat all of it from every plate. You will get a tummy ache. Have you been to these wonderful all you can eat? Wow, I'm popular today, guys. To these all you can eat buffets. If you're trying to eat of everything too much, you get a bellyache. So people say, no, just choose a few things. Okay, so you choose a few things. If you're like me, I literally want to try everything. But the
Mm.
trick is then try small portions of everything. Then it works again.
Mm.
So you see,
Mm.
you can find your ways. If you say to me, look, I want to know all my gifts and I want to at least have tried them, then I'm going to congratulate you and cheer you on like crazy.
Mm.
Because then that is your freedom.
Yeah.
We know that we're not in our freedom when we start to have thinking, right? Low
Mm.
quality thoughts that run way too fast for our own well-being. We don't feel quite so good. We judge ourselves. We call ourselves lazy. We're stressed. We think, oh my God, am I going to get through those next 2 months? Wait a minute, hold up. And I'm not going to sit here and sell you the art of reframing. Oh, what if it was the best months of your life? Think
Mm.
about it like this. Be grateful. I'm saying, hey, where's my energy?
Mm.
What do I need right now? If I was you, Ali, I would think, oh my God, this is so exciting, but I really like my space to sit in my hoodie.
Mm.
When am I gonna have space? And when I realize all I want is some space to sit in my hoodie, then I'm gonna make sure that I give myself some space to sit in my hoodie. Because I know my body's gonna take that space if it wants it
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
one way or another.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So then it's about let me give myself that. And that's how you create that peace. Like, what is it that you want? Oh, I need that excitement. Oh, great. Let's have the excitement in those places. Let's minimize the prep and the after work.
Mm.
See, that's my freedom.
Mm.
Get cheeky chappy on myself and really do more of the stuff that's fun and less of the one that isn't. Or, like you said, maybe I'll start enjoying the stuff that wasn't before. How? Because I wear my hoodie when I do it.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm gonna wrap an electric blanket around my ankles and make myself my favorite cup of peppermint tea, whatever it is.
Mm. Mm. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Beautiful. We are at the end. I'm amazing at being on time, as you can see, 7 minutes past. I would love to tie a bow around this session by asking you what you're going to take away from this. Like a party bag. You know, when you go to a kid's birthday party, we always take a party bag home. Now is party bag time. What are we going to put in your party bags? Lorna, shall we go with you?
Well, just to lighten up, probably.
So like,
Lighten up,
and how
lighten,
are you going to
li-
do that?
lighten up. Around. I've been giving my mind, been more kind to my mind, I guess.
So be kind to your mind.
Mm.
We have some good memes there today.
Yeah. Lorna's great with the one-liners.
Yes, we're gonna do our next fridge magnet collection.
Mm.
Mhm.
Kind to my mind.
Yeah, be kind to your mind. I love that. Anything else?
Oh, there will be plenty, I'm sure, that things drop later rather than in the moment for me. So,
Great.
and so you said this is going out somewhere, so I can go back and watch it.
Yes, you can absolutely go back and watch it.
That sometimes I get so much more on a replay when I'm sitting on my own watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Thank
true. It's a really good thing to know about oneself. Hey, I tend to get even more when I watch it again. So then, really good idea to watch it again or listen to it again on a walk. Or
Yeah, thank you.
yeah,
Thank you. Anyway, thank you both.
it's a pleasure. And what are you taking in your
Thank you,
party
Lorna.
bag?
I think for me it's around I'm not sure of the right wording, but like just not relying on my thinking as much as I have been, right? Knowing that actually not all of my thoughts are kind of high quality. So appreciating that, I think, first of all. And the second of all, the lightness. Yeah, it's gonna be an intense couple of months, but I'm gonna enjoy it with a bit more fun and a bit more lightness and enjoy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really wish you as many moments of light and fun as you can as you can handle.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
Okay,
it.
wonderful.
Ah.
And with the thinking, this is what I was just thinking. That's why we hire coaches because we're trying to upgrade our thinking.
Mm.
When in the presence of another, we can very easily feel which one of our thoughts isn't so high vibe. And when you're alone, you often don't. You kind of
Mm.
like, you think, what are you? Oh, I was thinking that, so that's true, so that's real,
Yeah.
so that's that. And as soon as you're in the presence of somebody who understands the different qualities of thinking, you
Yeah.
very quickly feel, yeah, no, that's low vibe. That's just me worrying.
Mm.
Actually, what I want to think about is this is expansive thinking.
Mm.
Oh, my mind feels a bit more quiet right now. And then the next thought that drops in there is very, very likely a really good one. Not always guaranteed, but when we
Yeah.
become more quiet, that's when the good thoughts come in. After physical exhaustion, I get really good thoughts. In the sauna, there's the clarity that comes. So it's like, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
So thank you for playing. Thank you for coming to the community call. You're welcome back anytime you feel like it, with an agenda or without. The party is created live and on screen.